Good morning to everyone, and welcome to your pre-employment orientation. Okay, so I'm Joanne. I'm your career placement advocate, and I hope that for this morning I will be able to impart my knowledge regarding this topic. Okay, so before we start, I would like to give you the objectives of this orientation. First, this is to provide information that will enable you to plan and strategize your job applications, to provide key insights about what to do and what not to do as a job seeker or applicant. Then to enhance and develop the skills in creating a resume through proper formatting and content creation. So it means that later we will be discussing the different parts of a resume, and from each part you will be able to know the contents that you have to put in that section. And then of course to discover methods on how to answer job interviews, the common ones, no? Just to give you an idea. And of course to give information on pre-employment requirements. Now, during this activity, of course, I'm sure that you have your own expectations. And on my part, these are my expectations from you. Of course, dapat we have to be on time. So, assuming that we are physically present here, dapat we started on time. You know, we assembled here in a certain room on time. But in this case, this is the virtual room. Next, of course, is your participation. So this is not a one-way activity, no? Masyadong boring kung gano'n ang mangyayari. But since this is a recorded presentation, I would be glad to have your questions later on. Okay? So listen and then share your experiences, especially those who already had an experience in applying for a job before. Then, put your cell phones on silent mode. But I guess since this is a virtual activity, I would suggest that you keep yourself away from distractions, or keep distractions away from you, and put yourself in mindfulness mode so that you can focus more on this activity. Okay? What else? Yan. So again, as I have said a while ago, this is a two-way activity. So we are equals in this workshop. Na ibig sabihin. So it's not just you is learning from me, also me learning from you. Okay? So mamaya, I hope that you will be able to share what you know about this topic. Then, of course, meron tayo dito yung sinasabi natin na ano bang, wag daw tayong mahihiyang magtanong. Okay? Sabi yun sa isang commercial, di ba, ng gamot. Yan. Right, Matt? Yes. So, huwag mahihiyang magtanong. So, feel free to ask your questions. And hopefully, I'll be able to provide knowledge and insight. And of course, boring naman kung puro learning lang tayo. So, let's have fun while learning. All right, so these are my expectations, and I hope that they will be met during our discussion. Okay, so mag-reality check muna tayo. Okay. Of course, we live in a competitive world. So dear graduates, welcome to the real world. Ito na siya. Job hunting is really something very challenging for all of us. Lahat kami na nagtatrabaho na ay dumaan din dyan. And kayo, because you are just about to start with it, we will give you tips, okay, on how you can be able to apply for the jobs that you seek, and what could be the possible strategies that you could consider as you apply for the job. So, sabi dito, diba, dumaan tayo sa pandemic. So, ang employment rate of the Philippines as of August daw ay tumaas na sa 8.1% or an equivalent of 3.88 million jobless Filipinos in the country. So ito ay simula nung nagkaroon tayo ng mga lockdowns, and I think nakailang lockdowns ba tayo? I think nakatatlo tayong lockdowns. So, as of the third quarter of 2021, sa nakikita nga, no, the latest figure that is reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority as of September 30 is much higher than the rate of 6.9 in July. So sabi nga dito, by August, naging 8.1 siya in a span of a month. Okay? So, kung July, the 6.9 was equivalent to 3.07 million jobless Filipinos. Tumaas na siya by thousands, no? Hundreds of thousands na. Tama ba? So it's 3.88 million. And sa nakikita nga natin, this is being expected by the end of the quarter of this year, 6.9%. Hopefully, bababa siya. And because a lot of, we are trying this, since we are already in level 2, we are trying to reopen our economy. So, may mga businesses ulit na nag-start magbukas, ganyan. Okay, so hopefully, magkakaroon na ulit ng improvement sa workforce. And then, unfortunately, okay, so by next year daw, ang prediction, from 6.9, bababa daw yung projected trend to 6.2%. Why? Because yun nga, sa ating prediction, sa forecast, is because we will be putting back the industry, no, na medyo siglahin muna natin ulit. But then, we have upcoming, the presidential election, for example, will be happening next year. So, hindi pa rin naman natin sigurado kung sino ba, di ba? Sino ba yung next na mamumuno sa atin? So, ang trend for, maybe a safe forecast that by 2023, it will be around 6.5. So, medyo mas madami ulit yung magiging jobless. So, maybe plus, of course, marami rin kasing gagraduate. So, madami ulit ang dadagdag sa mga naghahanap ng trabaho. Okay. So, really, it's very important to start early in finding your job. Okay. So, what do you consider when you find a job? What factors are you considering when you find a job? Number one, so marami naman actually, marami tayong factors. But one that you should be giving consideration to is the location. Yan. Malapit, malayo, abroad ba ito or local? Okay, so location. Malapit sa tinitirahan mo or malayo? Matraffic ba? Is it safe to go there? Okay, so location. Why? Because kung sa location, malayo siya sa tinitirahan mo. You have to commute, diba? Or maybe you have to travel. So whether you take public transportation or you bring your own vehicle, that will still that will still cost you expense, diba? Syempre sa pagbiyahe mo. So the other thing that you can consider would be the compensation and benefits of the company that you are applying for. Kasi kung gusto mo ba talaga na kahit malayo, you want to be employed there, pero does the compensation justify the location of the work that you are applying for? So kung I've heard, of course, yung iba na, ma'am, kasi ang layo. So, talo ako sa pamasahe. That's the usual comment, right? So, meron pa rin namang isang consideration, which is to relocate. Or, ayun nga, you can rent, for example, a space that is very near to the location of your work. So, o kung meron kayong kamag-anak na pwede kayo doon muna, you can bed space there. Okay, so that's it. You can still consider that. But again, if you think that the compensation that you will get is smaller or lesser than the expenses, no? Compensation versus expenses is not equal or it's not balanced. So you better make a decision. The other one is the work and life values. Okay, so why? Work, ang isang company, meron naman talaga yung mga core values, diba? So they have their own values to honor. And you, as a person, as an individual, you also have your own personal values. So you can check kung ang values ba na meron ka at yung papasukan mo ay nagja-jive, do they harmonize? So for example, meron kasing mga trabaho or may mga companies that they would value profit more, or they would somehow value what you can contribute to the company versus, let's say, the quality time that you can still spend for your family. So, yung mga ganon, baka masyado sila kasing driven to produce output regardless of the time spent for them. So, baka minsan you need to spend overnight sa trabaho sa opisina, o minsan baka halos hindi ka na uuwi ng bahay, even Sundays would be demanded from you just to meet the target. And is that okay with you? Does that jive with your life values that you want a balance between your work and your time with your family? Mga ganyan, okay? Or baka you value integrity tapos yung papasukan mong trabaho masyadong prone sa corruption. Yan, mga ganyan. Or sometimes yung ano din, religion, you can consider, like may mga companies that would require Saturday as part of their working hours, and yet you are, let's say, an Adventist and you are not allowed to work on a Saturday. So you can also consider that. Yan, may mga ganyan. So strike a balance between work and life values. Ano pa? So yan, yung working hours, as I have said a while ago, connected siya. And then, opportunities for growth, syempre. So, we do not want to be staying in the same position, for example, or the same function for so many years. So, we expect to rise, diba? To rise the ranks, for example. So, ano tayo? We have to see if there is opportunity for us to grow in that company and in that work. Yeah, so maganda yan. Then of course, there are other factors that you would definitely consider, but ito yung mga ilan sa mga nakikita. Safety and health can be considered also, di ba? Kasi nga yung minsan papunta ba doon, safe ba? Baka pag-uwi ka na wala nang ilaw sa paligid, no? Mahirap sumakay, malayo sa sakayan, for example, or masyadong prone sa baha, mahirap puntahan. I don't know. Mga ganon. So, those are things that you can also consider. Alright? Then, so next, yan. Dito na tayo. So, kanina sabi natin, one of the objectives of this orientation is to enhance and develop your skill in preparing a resume and being able to know the information that you have to provide for each of the sections, di ba? So, pero bago yan, bakit nga ba natin kailangan ang resume? Okay. So, for one, syempre, requirement yan eh. Di ba? It's a requirement of every organization. It's a written document na hinihingi nila to get a glimpse of who you are. Diba? Pagka mag-apply ka, pahingi ng resume. Or, mag-apply ako sa ganito. Sige, pakisend ng resume ha. See? So, the resume, and I'm sure you have an idea of what a resume looks like. The resume is really very important. It's a requirement. Hindi ka pwedeng walang resume and then you will just get a job interview. You have to have a resume. Then from there, you can be shortlisted and so you will be invited for an interview. Yan ang importance ng resume. Whether a soft copy or a hard copy, just the same, you have to prepare your resume. And lastly, of course, because you are selling yourself, you are marketing yourself through a resume. Your resume serves as your marketing representative. So with that, you have to make good with the content of your resume para mapapansin ka. Alright. So maybe some of you would think that the resume is just a summary of everything that you have done or accomplished in life. But it's not just a mere summary. Dapat it focuses on the job that you are targeting and make sure that the content is relevant to the viewpoint of the hiring team of that company. The usual common mistake created by most applicants is that they come up with a one-size-fits-all resume. Hindi ganun yun. Sa bawat position that you eye for the different companies, iba-iba rin yung resume probably na gagawin mo. Again, for the different positions. But if you target only one position and sending it out in different companies, okay lang yun. So again, be careful with the resume that you will prepare. Make it very attractive so that mapapansin yung resume mo and they would feel that you are tailor-fit for that position. So yan, these are examples of the resume that is usually prepared. Yan. So dito sa left, if you can see on your screen, yan, si Juan de la Cruz ay graduate dito sa Philippines. Pero sa right side, si Mateo Juarez ay graduate somewhere in England. Okay? But just the same, you can see the similarities in their resume. So umpisahan na natin per segment. Ano ba ang parts of a resume? So first, we have the header or the information section. What do you see in a header or information section? So yun, yung header, it's considered as one of the most important parts of a resume. This is where you can find your name, your address, and your contact number. Okay, including, of course, your email address. So make sure when you prepare your resume and you write your name, it stands out over the other information about you. So make it bold. For example, the font would be in bold or, of course, in bigger font size as compared to the other information. Yeah. So make sure na yung email address that you will give is professional. Okay? Huwag yung pang-personal mo na kahit ano lang yung nilalagay mo doon. For example, lagay mo yan, di ba? O, ewan ko na lang kung kontakin ka pa. So, kasi the simplest email that you can have is to write your full name and then the domain that you have, diba, in your email. So, pwede juandelacruz@yahoo.com.ph or juandelacruz@gmail.com. So, ganun lang kasimple. Pero kung ano-ano pa ilalagay, that might not be a very good impression for the HR personnel who might be considering you sana. And then, of course, make sure that as much as possible, put your personal mobile number as your main line. Okay? Kung meron naman kayong sarili nyong number, huwag nyo nang ilagay doon yung number ni partner, yung number ni nanay, yung number ni kapatid. Okay? Maybe they can be secondary, but as much as possible, yung personal mobile mo so that it will have, of course, obviously, direct contact siya. Sometimes, baka yung makasagot yung kapatid mo, hindi rin naman sa'yo ma-relay yung message. So, mas maganda talaga kung diretso. Okay? Next, make sure that your contact details are updated. Hirap naman no, naglagay ka pa ng contact numbers, hindi ka rin naman makontak. Right? Yan. Next, objective. So, napansin nyo dito kanina dun sa header natin, sa baba nun, may makikita ka ng objective. So, in this example, it says, to obtain a position as a distribution manager that utilizes my 7 years of distribution and logistics management experience, my knowledge in founding and managing a small business, and my bachelor's degree in business administration. So, usually kasi dapat talaga, it's a one-sentence declaration. It already indicates the position that you're interested in. It includes, of course, the experience that you had, the skills that you acquire, and you can seek, for example, the degree or the education that you also had in connection with the position you're applying for. But then, ito naman minsan, you can also omit the specific position. It can be generic also. Kung ako ang tatanungin nyo, especially in your case, you are fresh graduates, I would go for the generic kind of objective. No? Kasi wala ka pa rin naman siguro ma-indicate masyadong job experience on your part. Of course, some of you, sabi ko nga kanina, pwede naman na nagkaroon na ng work before. You can, of course, indicate that. Or if you have your own business already, you can also indicate that. So, ito yung examples na sinasabi ko na generic or general objectives. Yan. Okay? At least, so for example, you secure a challenging position in a reputable organization to expand your learning and knowledge and skills. So, yan, that's very general. So, wala siyang sinespecify, but that you are, of course, looking for a challenging position in their organization, where you can expand, okay, develop your skills, okay, widen your knowledge and your learnings. Yeah. The same with the second example. Next content or section is the skills and abilities section. So, yun sa right, on your right, that is the example. Now, ano ba yung nakikita natin dito? So, in this section, you should inform the reader of any unique qualities that you have, no, the necessary skills that you have, but they are not reflected or mentioned in the other sections of this resume. So it also includes, of course, your technical skills, transferable skills, your competencies, okay? And then you have to try to tailor fit the skills that you're mentioning to the position that you're applying for. Okay, and then of course, other trainings that you had, you can put it here. And make sure, sa dami naman din kasi siguro ng if you are lucky, the many trainees that you have had before, okay, but you may not need to mention all of them in one resume. Again, you can mention or highlight only those trainings that are relevant or pertinent to the position that you're applying for. Okay? So yan, skills and abilities. Next is, of course, the experience. So ito, in the experience, you can mention or include both those jobs that are paid and unpaid, and including the contribution you had for the position that you held, plus the achievements or the responsibilities that you assume. So, ano ba? Ano ba yung mga i-consider mo na experience mo? Okay? So, syempre, lagay mo dyan kung part-time or full-time yung job na nakuha mo. And then, or are you self-employed? You have your own business? Did you do volunteer work? Okay, para saan? Kung technician ka, nag-volunteer ka ba before nang mag-join ng caravan, for example, yung mga change oil, mga ganyan, di ba? So, mga volunteer work na walang kapalit na compensation. Then, of course, you can include your OJT in the respective dealer that you've been to. Yan, yung practicum nyo. So, that's very, very significant and important na malagay nyo. Okay? That will attract and add bogey points to you. Then, what else? So, make sure when you put your experience, do not forget to indicate the job title, okay, the period of employment, and of course, the company name. So, kung halimbawa, ikaw ay nag-OJT, nag-on-the-job training ka from January 2019 to May 2019, and then Toyota Pasong Tamong Incorporated, for example, yung lugar na nag-OJT ka, that's the complete heading that you will write for experience. And then, do bullet points to indicate ano yung mga trainings na natutunan mo doon. Performed change oil, ano pa ba? Or preventive maintenance service, yung mga ganyan. Okay? So, you can include everything that you were able to learn and perform during your OJT. Then, kung meron ka na rin dati ng background or work experience na you were paid for before, so you can also indicate. Yan, mas maganda yon. The more experience you had, the better. Okay, we just make sure that they are significant and relevant to the position that you are applying for. Now, when you put yan yung sinabi ko, the experience that you had, you can present them through bullet points. No? So, mag-use ka ng bullet points, and at the same time, you start each line with an action verb. So, pagka you are, for example, kung fresh grad ka, you have no work, wala kayo masyadong ilalagay, except that for your OJT, for example, you can indicate already, then use action verbs, past or present, but of course, it will be in the past dahil nangyari yung OJT nyo before. Pero for some of you who are probably already working and then you are trying to pursue another position in another company, yun, since current yan, so present tense yung gagamitin. Okay? So the tailor skills and experience, make sure to tailor the skills and experiences to the position that you are applying for. And just be concise when you provide detail. Huwag masyadong mahaba. Please, you don't have to really write sentences, okay? Very short and concise ones lang. Kasi yung tumitingin yan, you know the average time that an HR personnel will look at the resume of an applicant is an average of 6 to 8 seconds. Ganun lang kaikli. So, if you are If they think from a glance of around 6 seconds that, wow, this person is fit for the position. So, yun lang ang isi-shortlist nila. Pag masyadong mahaba yung mga nilalagay nyo, tapos mag-i-include pa kayo ng mga unnecessary na experiences, it will take the person too long to take a look at it. Hindi na nila yan babasahin. Okay? So, make it short, concise. What else? Now, honors and awards. So, this part is usually, hindi naman, but it can be an optional section of your resume. Of course, it can include the scholarships and other related honors that you had in school, whether it's school or non-school related. But please make sure to include scholarships that are based on merit, hindi yung financial. Okay? So, things that you have to remember, make sure to include the date that you received the honor or award. For clarification, it may be necessary to give description of the nature or the purpose of the organization's award. Yan. So, ano ba yung purpose nun? Kung yan ay Rotary, for example. Okay? O isang recipient ka ng isang advocacy movement. Yan. Pwede. Okay? Now, you organize them according to dates. Dapat sabi nila ay reverse chronological. So when you say reverse chronological, di ba ang chronological is from past to present chronological. But when you say reverse chronological, it's from present bababa to history, down to history. So that's the way to present it. Order by dates, but preferably reverse chronological. And then, kung magkakasabay yung nangyari in a single period, you arrange by order of importance to the position or career that you're pursuing or the objective that you have. Okay? Next, professional affiliations. So, again, this one you can arrange by order of date. So, mas maganda kung you don't really have to write member of, ganyan, when you indicate the affiliations you had. Ang pwede naman, because usually what you will highlight here is the leadership skill that you had in those organizations. Kung member kasi obviously hindi ba masyado ma-highlight, but when you put the position you had, or kung board member, of course, it's still part of the officers. So, yan ang mga ilagay nyo. And do not use abbreviations. Write the complete name of the organization so that they will appreciate it more. Okay? So, yeah, professional affiliation. So, kung ikaw ay naging president ng isang youth organization, for example, ang abbreviation niya ay PUSO. O yun pala siya ay Peace, ano ba? PUSO. Peace, Unity, and Social Organization, for example. So, ilalagay nyo yung buong pangalan. Alright? Mga ganun. Professional affiliations. So, these are the things that you have to remember. Do not put abbreviations and do not put member of anymore. Wag na yun. I-omit nyo na yan. Alright? Next. So, alam nyo na, di ba? Yung ating parts of a resume. So, meron tayong header, meron tayong objective, meron tayong skills and abilities, meron tayong honors and awards, then meron din tayong affiliations if you have. So, yan yung mga i-indicate nyo. Now, if you notice, attach muna tayo. Baka itatanong nyo, Miss, wala po bang character reference? Okay, so nakita nyo naman yung example natin ng resume kanina, no? We do not recommend you to put character reference anymore. Why? Because it is highly unlikely that it will do your resume any good. Hindi naman yan, it has nothing to do with the application of your, that you want, di ba? Hindi yan, wala yung kinalaman dun sa pag-seek nyo ng employment. Plus, you don't have to say, to be available upon request. Usually nilalagay pa yan, but it's so obvious that you will. So, hindi na yan nilalagay. Okay? So, remove it and definitely they will seek for it when the proper time comes. Okay? So, alis-alis na yan. So again, to highlight, these are the do's and don'ts when you prepare your resume. If you notice on your left, makikita nyo dyan yung mga do's. Make sure to use action verbs, as we have said before. So as much as possible, use short and concise sentences. You can use percentiles, figures, okay, when you indicate your accomplishments. So for example, you can say, provided 90% of the inputs, or let's say the data for the presentation of the company's profits, for example, ganun. Or was able to provide 85% of the commission that is targeted by the department. Mga ganon. Okay, so you can use figures, percentiles, money amounts, for example, yan. Then you can, of course, you have to keep your resume easy to read. Readable siya. Kasi kung masyadong marami nga mabulaklak masyado, it will be very tiring for the person who will take a look at it. So again, it's just a few seconds. So dapat kumpleto na yung makikita nung tumitingin. And then, as much as possible, one page only. Yung iba before, grabe, ang kapal ng mga pages nila, but the person who will glancing will not even bother to look at the second page. Ganun naman usually eh. Kasi sa dami, okay? So, they will not be wasting too much time on a single resume only. So, these are the don'ts on the right side. Wag na gumamit ng mga I, me, and my. Kasi obviously, the resume is yours. So, everything that is indicated there are actually pertaining to you. So, no need to put those pronouns. Then, as we have mentioned kanina, do not include character references anymore. And then, huwag mo siya nang masyadong lagyan ng mga non-essential information. Whether nanalo ka sa bikini open o nanalo ka sa kung saan ng mga trivial competitions that are not naman talaga significant, huwag mo na ilagay. Pero kung nanalo ka sa Skills Olympics, for example, pwede mo ilagay yan. Okay? Yan ay very significant to the position that you are applying for. Especially in your case, you are probably targeting the technician position. Yan. Ganda ilagay yan. Do not make any misrepresentations. Kung halimbawa ikaw ay gumagawa, ano pa lang naman, let's say you're just starting in taking your masteral, for example. Huwag mo naman ilagay na meron ka ng degree sa masters, di ba? Kasi nakaka-earn ka pa lang naman ng certain units. Mga ganon. And then, do not overrate yourself, but at the same time, do not underestimate yourself. But more important is, i-highlight mo kung ano talaga yung maganda sa'yo, na pwede mong i-market about you. You know, sa ano kasi parang di ba pag bumibili tayo ng isang product, there are so many there in front of you. Minsan, ang nagpapa-attract talaga sa'yo is what? Kung the same ang mga content, for example, it's really the what? The presentation di ba? So, malaking bagay yun. Now, do not include anymore your personal information, your SSS, your team. Kasi lahat naman yan eventually hihingiin sa tamang panahon. Okay? Sabi nga nila, sa tamang panahon. Kaya, wag magmadali. Okay? It does not, it has nothing much yet to do with the position that you're applying for. Unless minsan, they would ask, pero during the interview, they can ask that already. For example, na O, ilan ba yung anak mo, ilan taon na, ganyan. Kasi kung alagain pa, sometimes, especially for the women, they might reconsider kasi baka sabihin nila na ay, baka ito ay mas matatali pa sa mga anak niya kasi maalagain pa. So, baka lang na. So, we do not know. Depende naman yun sa trabaho that you want. Maybe because some would prefer those applicants na wala pa masyadong kahati na responsibility para they can render full time in the job, especially if it's really demanding, diba? So, depende naman yan. And at the same time, halimbawa, kasi may mga positions talaga na hindi man tayo nagdi-discriminate, but it's really more workable for males, for example. There's a study na yung mga babae kasi mas prone sila sa in a study of sa sleep pattern, mas aga antukin ng babae kaysa sa lalaki. Okay? So, dahil dyan, mas hindi sila recommended sa mga night shifts na trabaho, for example. So, dahil ang mga babae, kung sila yung malalagay dyan, mas prone sila sa mga accidents na pwede mangyari sa gabi. Yun yung mga examples niya. Okay? Sige. Pero syempre, meron pa rin naman talaga na hire natin ng mga babae pang gabi. But meron ng study that has already indicated that. Ano pa? Okay. So the resume, again, so tapos na tayo sa part ng resume. And we said that you have to make your resume brief, concise, pero malaman. And at the same time, it is very neat and organized. So ito siya. So kung ito yung resume mo, you have a neat, organized, error-free resume with a professional appearance. It says a lot about you. Ikaw daw, therefore, ay someone who is well-organized or well-ordered, systematic, gives attention to details, and of course, careful and confident. Okay? Kasi these are very important. Again, you are selling yourself. You have to be attractive to the one who would like to buy you, or shall we say, of course, to hire you. So, kailangan you give a good impression. Sell yourself. Okay? And your resume is actually the one who will market you first. Kaya, yun muna ang pagagandahin mo. Alright? Okay, so tapos na tayo sa resume. Sabi na natin, nakapag-send na tayo ng mga resume. So, ikaw as a job seeker, ano pa ba yung mga kailangan mo na i-consider, no? O gawin? No? Marami pang assignment si job seeker eh. Ganyan talaga, no? So, for example, again, sabi nga natin, be familiar with the location. Tinawagan ka na. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Juan de la Cruz. We would like to invite you for an initial interview on, let's say, ganitong date. Dito sa, namin, here in our office in ganyan. Okay, so, sa wakas, sa 20 na pinagdalahan mo ng resume, merong isang sumagot. And so, what will you do? Okay, be familiar with the location. Paano ka ba pupunta doon? So, you can do the Google thing. Sabi nga, Google Map ka dyan, mag-Waze ka. You can ask your friends na may familiar dun sa location. There are so many ways to know how to go there. Plus, mag-alat ka talaga ng time for traveling, of course, kung medyo malayo yan sa'yo. Okay, so magbigay ka na ng allowance on your travel time. And then, make sure that when you go there, you are courteous and respectful. Make sure to create a good impression. Okay? First impressions last. For some, diba? Ganon talaga siya. By the way, pagka nandun kayo, ito it's a tip for you. Be nice to the guards. Yeah. Oo. The way you ask them or you talk to them when you tell them that you have an appointment, be nice to them. Kasi minsan sila talaga, tinatanong din yan ng mga HR personnel, how they are, how the applicants are. Okay ba to? O ma'am, minsan pwedeng sabihin yan ng guard, ma'am, may pagkabastos yung anong yun. Ganyan eh, di ba? So, you have to consider them. Kino-consider din ng mga HR ang mga comments ng mga guards minsan. Okay? Basta be consistent. Hindi ka pwedeng nice dito tapos sa iba hindi ka nice. Sabi nga nila, when you give respect, you respect the janitor just as you respect a CEO. The same level of respect. Okay? So, ganon. Be courteous and respectful at all times. Don't chew gum during the interview. Please naman. Hindi naman tayo kambing, di ba? Okay. So don't chew gum. Very unethical. As simple as that. I don't know kung meron bang gumagawa niyan, no? But maybe may gumagawa nun out of nervousness. So nag-chew ng gum, but really it's not proper. Okay. Relax. Mag-relax ka lang. Anyway, ang mga itatanong lang ay walang tungkol sa iba, hindi tungkol sa kapitbahay, hindi tungkol sa nanay mo, tungkol lang naman sa'yo. Okay? So, relax ka lang. Then, if you're presented with a job application form, make sure to fill it out neatly, completely, and accurately. Okay? Kung ako sa inyo, I would bring a paper eraser. Okay? Yung paper corrector. Para lang sure. Kasi, kung minsan talaga, baka hindi maa-avoid. You can make one erasure. It will be neat pag nilagyan mo siya ng corrector. Diba? Pero kung erase lang, ganyan, minsan nakakadumi. Pag marami ka pang ganon, mas madumi. Okay? So, ano na ang impression sa'yo? Diba? Sabi nga natin kung error-free, attentive to details diba? Okay. So, neatly, please, neatly. Next, bring extra resumes to the interview. You can never know or tell. Hindi mo masasabi, baka mamaya yung mag-i-interview sa'yo, hindi ka lang na-initial, napunta ka na sa second interview. Pero si second interview, walang hawak na papel mo. So, ayan. You can never tell Minsan biglaan na lang may makibigay ka ng papaabot sa'yo. Do you have an extra resume with you? O you are ready. You're like a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, no? Bring an extra resume. Plus, along the way, kung tapos na ang interview mo, pero pagbaba mo pala, paglabas mo sa building na yon along the way, may makita ka pa dyan na pwede mo palang mapasahan pa ng resume. Why not? Para, di ba, shooting two birds with one stone ka, isang puntahan lang, pero marami ka palang pwedeng napasahan pa. Alright? So that's the practicality of having extra resumes. Then, of course, market yourself well. Again, sabi ko nga, wala namang ibang pag-uusapan yung sarili mo lang. So, at kung ano lang naman yung sinulat mo sa resume, malamang doon lang din yung mga ibang tanong. So, do not, market yourself well. Highlight the strengths that you have as an applicant and as a person, ba? Yan. Put your best foot forward. Yan. Then be mindful of your body language, your posture, and your tone of voice. Do not slouch. Okay? Hindi ako nakikita, pero yun nga. So, sit up straight, ganyan. Tapos, tumingin kayo sa mata nung nag-i-interview sa inyo. Makikipag eye-to-eye contact talaga. Huwag kayong titingin sa taas, okay? Like, my name is, okay, hindi siya ganon. Okay, looking confident means being able to sit up straight. It shows your enthusiasm in applying for the job. And at the same time, when you do eye-to-eye contact, you are connecting with the person in front of you. Okay? So, yan yung mga important gestures that you should have. Huwag kayong mga ganyan-ganyan, ganyan-ganyan, mga ganon, ha? Iwasan nyo yan mga ganyan. And then, what else? Oh, yeah, show enthusiasm in the position and the company, right? Tapos mag-research din kayo, of course, dun sa company, tsaka dun sa position that you're applying for. You can check out for their, yun nga, company mission and vision, their core values, yan. Yung basta mga background checking na gagawin nyo. So, hindi pa talaga natatapos yung doing your homework after you graduate. Marami ka pa ring homework na gagawin. You will do researching. Okay? Now, avoid using poor language, slang, and pause words. My name is, okay. I graduated from, ganon, okay. So, actually, pwede nyo yan i-practice sa mirror. Pwede naman, okay. Para practice makes perfect. Para pag sa actual na, confident ka na ginagawa mo siya, na sinasabi mo siya. Alright? So kung kayo may mga problema, for example, sa konti sa communication skills or minsan nagkakaroon ng initial jitters pag mag-a-apply, which is minsan hindi naman din maiwasan. But always have your mindset, relax, I can do this. Yan. And all I have to do is highlight my strengths. Talaga. Tsaka yung I make sure that I will show my unique self to them. O, diba? All of us, we are unique in our own right. So, i-highlight mo yon kung ano yung naiiba sa'yo. At the same time, you project. Alright? Huwag yung mga lol words. Walang mga ganon, ha? Iwasan. Don't act as though you would take any job or you will be desperate for employment. Again, you are marketing yourself. You have a certain stand and you have a certain rank. Hindi yung parang anything goes na lang. O sige, kahit na, although, kasi kahit papano, meron ka namang, di ba? Meron kang skill na na-acquire na eh. So, wag kang masyadong desperate na parang, yes, ano na lang, sige po, kahit ano na lang, kahit ano. No, not like that. So, this is what you're applying for. You prefer it to be this way. Unless the employer explaining to you or giving you a career direction. So, halimbawa, you will start from here. This is what we can offer you from now. But 6 months from now, we can already offer you the technician position. Kasi, ganyan. Di ba? Yung mga ganun eh. Meron namang way. You can eventually ask and clarify. Para hindi naman yung parang sa umpisa, nagpalugi ka na eh. And then, in a short while or after a while, ikaw rin naman yung nagko-complain na ito kasi binigay sa akin. O so bakit mo tinanggap? Wala naman palang malinaw na sinabi sa'yo na ito yung mangyayari in a certain period of time. Diba? O, so ikaw maglulus mo na yung moral mo and then you will not be performing well. So si employer, ano makikita? Talagang hanggang dyan ka na lang kasi hindi naman namin nakikita na meron kang effort talaga to, para ilipat namin sa ganito. Okay? So, market yourself and do not just take any job. Tapos sasabihin mo in the end, hindi naman talaga yun yung in-applyan mo or ayaw mo talaga doon. Okay? Now, avoid controversial topics. Ayan. Be careful kasi minsan baka yan pa maging matcha para hindi ka ma-consider, diba? So, as much as possible, if you can refrain, sabi mo na lang na, is it okay not to unless sila yung mag-initiate. But if you think you want to be careful about it, you may not want to comment. O, halimbawa, yan, presidential election. Pwede naman, you can politely decline kung tinatanong ka sino yung but on the other hand, you can explain your stand pala kung bakit yun yung pinili mong president because of certain factors that you considered. Ano ba yun? Ito yung pinili kong because I would like to think the president that I will choose is someone who has family values. So ayoko dito sa ito yung president na pinili ko kasi I've seen how he or she has handled his or her family, mga ganyan, o paano niya dinala yung family. And then, ito yung nakikita kong mga magagandang programs na gagawin or ginawa na niya before, mga ganon. But I'm not sure. Probably they will not also ask about this. But other controversial topics may be like baka sa religion, for example. So, medyo iwasan yung mga controversial topics na ganyan. Okay? Iwas-iwas lang kasi debatable. Now, don't say anything negative about former colleagues, supervisors, or employers. Never, never do that. Kahit na meron naman talaga. But, you should not. Siyempre, you already know why. Okay? So, basta iwasan lang. You don't really have to focus on the negativity, right? So, dun tayo sa positive lang. So, again, do emphasize your achievements and never or don't give any negative information about you. Even if they ask about, let's say, your weaknesses, hindi naman yun exact na negative because they will only ask for those areas that you think you need to improve on. Weaknesses na pwedeng maging strength. Alright? Okay, so yun nga yung sabi ko, no? Don't forget, pag kayo ay in-invite na for an interview, you talk before you talk. Research muna kung tungkol ba sa, sino ba itong mag-i-interview sa akin? Ano nga bang company ito? Sa dinami-dami kasi 20 yung pinasahan ko, ito yung nag-ano sa akin, nag-reply. But I didn't really exactly put details into this organization. But I just know that this is an interesting organization. So this time, mag-check kayo sa website, baka meron silang latest product, meron silang latest event. So at least when you do your research, eventually baka magamit mo yon when you do your interview. Right? Okay, so as I have said, na-invite ka na, nandun ka na, nag-iintay ka, tatawagin ka na, papasok na kayo sa interview room. Ito na. So, ito yung mga common job interview questions. Now, papasadahan ko lang siya. I'm just going to give a glimpse of these questions because this orientation will be in a series. So, sa second part nitong ating orientation, we will give you a simulation of an interview between an employer and a job seeker. Okay? Tapos, with that simulation, you can have an idea lalo na kung paano ba talaga mas magandang sagutin yung mga questions. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga usual na tinatanong sa inyo, di ba? Okay, tell me a little about yourself. Palagay ko, hindi lang naman to minsan sa paghahanap ng trabaho di ba? Maski nung nag-apply yata kayo dito as a student Kasi this is just an introduction about yourself. So, magsabi lang kayo na sino ka. Okay, so, mas maganda na hindi masyadong mahaba na yung sabihin nyo. Okay? But as the interview progresses, mas mayroon pang mga discussion or elaboration of those information that you have provided. Then, ayan, itatanong yan, biggest strengths, biggest weaknesses. Ano ba yung mga capabilities mo, mga kakayahan mo, strengths mo, saan ka magaling? But weaknesses, saan ka nag-need ng improvement? Okay? Ano pa yung mga dapat mong bigyan ng effort para mas mapabuti mo? Saan ang weakness mo? Okay, so doon meron na kayo idea na ano nga ba weakness ko? Pero wag mo sabihin yung mga okay, so the tip here kasi sa weaknesses is you can make it appear like a weakness but it is still actually a strength. O halimbawa sabihin mo na, you know, my weakness is that sometimes I'm too absorbed with my work. I'm too hardworking with my work. I don't get to check on the time. So, ang weakness ko talaga is masyado ako nagko-consume ng focus ko sa trabaho and I'm not aware of the time. When in fact, I have to go home also or have other commitments to attend to na dapat nagiging mas conscious ako sa time. Oh, diba? So, pwede yon na it's a weakness but it's still a strength. Uy, hardworking. Kaya lang yun nga, kunwari, workaholic, diba? Or anyway, magkakaroon nga ng part ko dyan. So, I cannot divulge everything right now. So that's an idea. Okay? Then, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So, ano ba yung nakikita mo? So, your direction, your projection, that's considered. Then, why should we hire you? Oh, bakit nga ba? Bakit ikaw ang pipiliin namin? Oh, so, it tells about your unique qualities, di ba? O ano ba yung pwede nilang mapakinabangan sa'yo? Why do you want this job? Bakit ka ba nag-apply in the first place? And pag tinanong, tell me, this is something like maybe a behavioral situation. No? Tell me about the last time a co-worker or customer got angry with you. What happened? Yan. So this time, you will give details. But then, I will not discuss it here kasi meron nga tayong part 2 that will be further discussed with you by the next presenter. Next, ano pa yung mga pwede? Tell me about the toughest decision you had to make in the last 6 months. Yan. Mapapaisip ka, di ba? By the way, I did not include here questions that have something to do with the pandemic, but you have to prepare because there might be questions now that employers will have in relation to the pandemic. Okay? But we can include that in the simulation presentation next time, in the second part. Tell me about a time that you disagreed with the decision and what did you do? Okay, so dito, yung mga conflict resolution, paano ba pagka meron kayong disagreements, for example? Paano nyo nire-resolve? What is your approach? Okay, so then tell me how you think other people will describe you. So it's like, how do you think other people see you? So, ano ba dapat mong i-highlight dito? Again, mas maganda the best in you, di ba? And then, what do you like to do outside work? So, it's probably a discussion about your leisure, your interest, your hobbies, for example. Then, what can we expect from you in the first 3 months? O isipin nyo na, ano ba daw nga yung expect sa'yo ni employer that you can do in the first 3 months that you will have with them? Then finally, ito naman maganda. What questions do you have for me? So ikaw, as an applicant, who will hopefully be joining their organization, it's your time to ask them questions. Okay? So make sure the questions that you will ask will be significant ones. Okay? Huwag kayo masyadong basta, yun, like for example, you can ask maybe, can you describe to me the kind of culture that you have here in your company, or a working culture, for example, di ba? So, ano nga ba? Para yun, yung mga ganong klase ng questions, okay? And then, so yan mga, some of the common. Meron pa sigurong iba, but they might not happen during the initial interview. So, with that, kunwari tapos na tayo dun sa sa interview itself. O halimbawa nakatapos ka na from the initial interview and to the second interview, and in fact parang may final interview and natapos ka na. Usually, the final interview will be done with either yung iba service managers, o iba naman yung general manager, yung iba yung baka yung president or yung CEO. So, it really depends on the practice of the organization. But just the same, for example, you are already given a job offer. So, ito na, meron ka ng pre-employment requirements. So, here, ayan, get ready with your certificates. Napakarami mong certificates na i-prepare. So, if you're married already, they can already also ask you about that. So, prepare nyo na yan, yung SSS nyo, pag-ibig, okay, ID, yan. PhilHealth, kasi those are needed by employers. Yan, barangay clearance, your police and NBI clearance. So, maganda to, i-process nyo every year kasi yan nire-renew, or is it every 6 months? So, sometimes you can ask your employer kung valid pa yung clearance nyo, kung hindi pa naman masyadong matagal yung pagkaka-clear sa inyo. Then, your TIN or tax identification number, and then this one also your diploma, certificates, and TOR. Okay? Now, sometimes the TOR, you can explain to your employer to be that it can follow kasi minsan hindi ganon kabilis i-process yung TOR. And of course, I forgot to indicate here, medical, of course, is also part of the pre-employment requirement. So, kailangan hindi ka lang ready sa pagsagot ng mga questions, hindi lang ready ang mga certificates mo ng birth certificate, diploma, etc. But you have to make sure you are fit, physically fit, mentally fit to work. Very important yan. Kasi kahit meron ka pa lahat niyan, pero kung hindi ka naman fit to work, you cannot work. Not with them. Okay? So, kailangan tayo ay healthy, sound persons when we apply. Okay? With a positive disposition in life. Okay? So, kahit na meron tayong pandemic na dumaan at dumadaan pa nga, we have to be positive and hopeful that things will be better. Dahil ganun talaga ang buhay, di ba? And we should not stop losing our faith in God to give us His mercy and His healing power, okay, para tayo ay i-heal niya from those wounds and sufferings that we went through during the pandemic. Not just the pandemic, but in our everyday lives, okay? So again, sabi ko nga kanina, when you apply, packaging di ba? So may resume ka ng maayos. But when you present yourself physically already, o kahit hindi physically, kahit virtually, you have to dress to impress. You have to dress up. Hindi naman sinabi yung parang pupunta ka sa party, di ba? But at least you will present yourself professionally. Okay, so why? At sabi nga dito sa ano natin, di ba? Creating the right image from the very first impression you give to your interview is one way to show that you are top quality even before you utter a word, di ba? Hindi ka pa nakakausap, impressed na kasi maganda ka manamit, kaya mong dalhin yung pananamit, okay? You carry yourself well. That's part of the packaging. Bibili ako nitong paninda, yung produkto na to, pare-pareho lang. Pero ito maganda yung packaging. Gusto ko to, di ba? Minsan yun ang magpapa-attract sa'yo dun sa, sa bibilihin mong produkto. Ayun lang, minsan talaga nakakadaya rin yung packaging in certain times, lalo na kung naglalasada ka o Shopee, di ba? Mukha lang siyang maganda, pero sa actual, hindi pala. So, that's the disadvantage of virtual buying, for example. Pero kung yan ay in person, mas madali mong makikilatis, di ba? Pag binili mo nga, nahahawakan mo, na-check mo, gano'n. So, there's really an advantage when you go in person, di ba? Yung face-to-face kesa sa virtual lang, sa online lang. Okay? Kaya kayo, pag naligaw kayo, sabay gano'n, ang akin lang is, sabi nga nila ang career daw parang parang sa paghahanap ng ka-forever mo, di ba? Siyempre, when you choose the career that you want, yun yung gusto mong forever. Ayaw mo na ng pabago-bago. Of course, this is not just on work, ha? Iba yung job sa career. So, pero yung sinasabi ko, when you choose the career that you want, sana, you think over and over again about it. Make sure ito talaga yung gusto mo, ito yung interest mo, ito yung love mo, para kung mahirapan ka man as you go pursuing that career, hindi ka basta-basta bibitaw. Kasi love mo siya di ba? Love mo yung career mo. So parang ganun din daw sa pagpipili ng mahal mo, di ba? So piliin mo yung pakakasalan mo, mahal mo talaga. Kasi yun ang magiging forever mo. Pag nagkamali, ayun. So, minsan nawawala ng forever, wala nang forever. Pero, meron ding times, minsan hindi mo pa yun masyadong gusto, di ba? Kung sa career mo, ay hindi ito masyado kong gusto, pero susubukan ko baka naman matutunan kong mahalin. Wow. So, siguro minsan ganun din sa love life, no? Minsan parang wala lang, sige try lang natin. But eventually pala, ay, I will not let go of this. Ito na si forever ko. Okay? So, this time naman sa work, syempre, there are so many employees who have remained loyal to their employers. Dahil it was a mutual thing, no? Naalagaan sila at sila din naman, they gave their best to their employer. So, nagkaroon ng mutual caring. So dahil dyan, tumatagal, di ba? They stay there, the first and last work. Example na dyan ay ang mother ko. Okay, so my mother worked in a certain company. Wow, 32 years. Okay, simula nung gumraduate siya hanggang mag-retire siya. That was her work. Ang galing, di ba? But of course, I'm sure you have your own stories to tell. Ganon din, may similar. So, congratulations sa mga ganon tumatagal. Nakahanap sila ng forever sa first time pa lang. Alright. So, again, ano pa ba? Do I have more slides here? Okay. So, another one, bakit kailangan mo mag-power dress? Sabi nga dito, as much as 55% of what another person thinks about you is based on appearance. So, ito naman ay galing kay Mr. Kim Zoller, who is a US-based image consultant. So creating an image is very important. And part of that image creation is, of course, power dressing. Okay? So, you have to consider, I'm sure that this is just a review for you, no? Kasi na-discuss din to sa T-Way, but for example, kung masyadong maluwag yung damit sa'yo o masyadong masikip, so dapat yung tama lang sa katawan. It will give you comfort. Okay? Not something to give you discomfort. Make sure, ayun din, natatama siya sa kulay mo. Diba? So, may mga ganong considerations. The size, the fit, the color. Okay. So, yung mga dapat yung i-consider. Yung appropriate for the occasion. Hindi yung parang magpapabinyag, hindi yung parang pupunta sa night party. Okay. For the women, the ladies, makeup is also included. Make sure to put light makeup. Why not? Just to enhance the beauty that you have, but not to cover the beauty that you have. Okay? Madami ngayon ang nasa maling akala. Nakakadaya kasi minsan ng makeup. So don't overuse the makeup. Okay, ladies? Alright. So, eto, dahil kayo ay Tatak Toyota, di ba? You are products of TMP Tech. Dapat wag niyong kalimutan ang Toyota principles. So, what are these? So, again, sa T-Ways, the Toyota way, kita na natin dyan, di ba? Two pillars of Toyota are continuous improvement and respect for people. And as under those pillars, so first, under continuous improvement, we have challenge, kaizen, and genshi genbutsu, or going to the root cause personally, di ba? Personal inspection to do the root cause. And then, respect for people is, of course, respect for all and teamwork. And despite differences in views and opinions, what is important is you respect each other's differences, and still at the end of the day, you come up with a consensus, for example. Or respect kung ano yung napagdesisyonan, even if it is against your point of view, you still respect because maybe that is the decision of the majority. Okay? So, ganun talaga eh. This is a democratic country. And all is fair and square. We give chance to what the majority is telling us. Okay? So that's teamwork. You can be independent but a team player at the same time. Mas maganda yun. Independent ka with minimum supervision. You can work on your own, but at the same time, you can work with your team without necessarily being too dependent on other people. You can be on your own, di ba? Yan yung maganda. Right? So that's the principle. And of course, 5S. Again, di yan nawawala sa atin. 5S or proper housekeeping. So, kung yan ay in Japanese, that's seiri, seiton, seiso, shiketsu, and shitsuke. So, merong kanta dyan eh, pero hindi ko na siya kakantahin. But I'm sure some of you, batch 12, na ano ko pa yan sa inyo eh. It's in the tone of paru-parong bukid. Okay? So, yan. Paru-parong bukid, di ba? Okay. So, yan lang. Yung seiri, seiton, seiso, shitseku, shiketsu, shitsuke. Okay. So, ano na lang nyo. I'm sure mas maganda kayong kumanta and because maaraw ngayon. So, wag natin sirain yung sinag ng araw. Wag nyo na akong pakantahin. Okay, so that's it. 5S, sort, straighten, shine, standardize, and sustain. And of course, make it a lifestyle. 5S is a lifestyle. Okay? So that's it. Thank you. And before I go, by the way, bago pala ako let me just check. Okay, so thank you for listening and your participation later on when you have questions. But I just would like to share with you na I forgot to mention kanina eh. But sa employment kasi natin ngayon, what are the attributes that employers are looking for in a graduate? So, problem solving is still important. If you're a good problem solver, communication skill is important if you are good in communicating. But the latest one that is being recommended by the workforce now, by employers global wide, is about digital skills. Okay, being able to have your presence in a platform, you have technology with you, dapat you will enhance your digital skills. And you start also to invest in gadgets and devices, technical devices, kasi you can use that. Of course, for technicians, face-to-face pa rin talaga. They cannot do the work with digital connection lang. So, but again, it's just an added information for you. Baka kasi yung iba sa inyo, hindi naman din agad mag-technician. Okay, so you may have other plans in mind. So that's an added information. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I am now ready for your questions. Oh, by the way, please listen to these videos I'm going to share with you. I invited two graduates from batch 7 and 10 who will be sharing with you their experiences and insights as job applicants. Okay, so thank you, and again, have a great day. Please listen and watch these videos.
Good morning, graduating students, and congratulations. This is Ian from TMPTech Batch 10. And of course, now that your studies are done with TMPTech and all your trainings have been completed, the next step is, of course, to find a dealer for you to work on or work with. And my advice is, of course, when choosing a dealer to work on or work for, it is best if you choose the dealer nearest to you. And of course, there are other options. You can also choose other dealers within the next city or within the next province next to you. And whenever you are trying to find for more job openings, you can always visit the Facebook page of that dealer, or you can also try to search at JobStreet or other websites such as Indeed.com. And with my experience, these job sites also give you the chance to review the job qualifications and the other job requirements. Be sure to read these properly and understand what the company is offering and what they're looking for from the potential applicants such as you. And with that said, once you are decided or once you have decided to apply for the dealer, another advice I can give for new applicants or even for those who are just gonna be working for the first time on the dealer but have previous experiences with other companies, always make sure that you know what's on your resume. Always indicate all the valid facts about yourself. Do not overstate other skills or any other achievements that didn't really happen, because the HR is gonna know it and they would be asking you more about it. And if it isn't true, you're not gonna be able to give them an honest answer, and therefore you may fail the first interview. And another thing is, if you are invited for the interview, whether it's initial or even of course the final, regardless of which interview you are invited to go for, always make sure that you are early and you are dressed properly. You don't have to really look like a fashion model or as such. Just dress appropriately, be presentable, be confident, and answer all the questions that they will be asking. Never answer in such a way that you're trying to impress them. Not until they're asking you for more questions or for more answers about your skills, then that's the only time you can try to insert some extra information. But never overestimate yourself, and never underestimate yourself as well. And another thing with the interviews, it normally starts with the initial interview with the HR recruitment personnel, then followed by the HR head, and usually the final interview is conducted by the service manager or even the general manager. And in either way, never lose your confidence from the first to the second or even the final interview. Another thing is, always make sure that before your interview day, try to remember all the things that you've gone through with the trainings and even the other subjects. Never forget the Toyota way, because whenever you're trying to apply, even if you are trying to apply for a technician role or even anything else within the service office, there will always be questions about the history of the company and some other topics discussed at Toyota Way. So never dismiss those things. And lastly, always make sure that you are able to show your employer that you are not in there to impress them, but rather you are in there in order to provide services and be a good employee and add value to their company. Thank you.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Unang-una, binabati ko po kayo. Congratulations po dun sa mga gagraduate po ng TMP Tech. At maraming salamat din po, Ma'am Joanne, sa pag-invite po sa akin para makapag-share ng ilang mga tips patungkol dito sa pag-apply. Bali, ako nga po pala si Roldan Napuhin, isa akong service technician dito sa Toyota Otis. Bali, ang by level is pro technician. So, ang may share ko lang sa inyo is kung ano yung na-experience ko nung ako ay nag-a-apply pa. Bali, yung ginawa ko guys, 1 month before the graduation, naka-prepare na yung resume ko. Inihanda ko na talaga siya kasi para kung sakaling magkaroon ng biglaang hiring is naka-ready na rin ako. Bali, Nung natapos ko yung resume ko, dapat kumpleto to lahat ng achievements ninyo, ilagay nyo na dyan sa school, or kung may experience na kayo sa automotive, sa career nyo sa automotive, ilagay nyo na rin kasi advantage din yun. And after that, nagsimula na rin akong maghanap ng trabaho online. Bali, kung saan yung lugar na gusto kong pasukan, kasi nandito ako ngayon sa Manila, tinry ko yung mga dealership dito sa Manila. Kung hiring man sila o hindi, nag-send pa rin ako sa kanila online kasi hindi natin alam, anytime pwede silang mag-hiring. And nung 1 week before the graduation, bali, sinubukan ko nang mag-apply mismo personal. Pumunta ako dun sa dealership na mga pwede kong applyan dito sa Manila. Then, syempre, dala-dala ko yung resume. At, nga pala, syempre, dapat naka-business attire tayo. At, yun, nung nandun ako sa dealership, minsan, merong may papansin sa atin, minsan, meron ding hindi. Kasi, hindi naman kasi pare-pares talaga yung dealership. Basta, kung saan yung mga target ninyo, huwag lang kayong mapapagod mag-apply. And then, isang beses pa nga, medyo parang dumating din ako sa time na parang pinanghihinaan ako ng loob. Kasi, sabi ko, bakit parang walang tumatawag sa akin? Gagraduate naman ako ng TMP Tech. Bali, yung aking nga palang dealership na in-applyan is 5. Kasama yung dealership na pinag-OJT-han ko. So, yun, bali, yung mga time na yon, parang yung mga classmate ako na sila natanggap na, hindi pa kami gumagraduate kasi maaga rin silang nag-apply. I'm blessed nung after ng graduation naman is may tumawag sa akin. Tinawagan na nga ako nito ng Toyota office. Nagsunod-sunod na yon. Nagsunod-sunod na yung tawag nila na for interview. Siguro kaya ganun, hindi pa sila hiring ng mga panahon. Kaya guys, wag kayong mapapagod mag-apply, wag kayong panghina ng loob kung sakaling hindi agad kayong matanggap. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng dealership is sa panahon ngayon hiring, meron na. Baka wag niyo iisipin na hindi nila kayo gusto. Baka busy lang sila. Basta lalakasan niyo lang yung loob niyo. 'Yon. Bali yung in-applyan ko nga pala is 5 dealership yon. Ang ganda naman doon, yung 3 doon nag-response. And then yung 3 doon, gusto nila akong kunin. At kumbaga nagkaroon ako ng chance na pumili, kaya nandito ako ngayon sa Toyota Otis. Kagaya ninyo, dati ring medyo nag-aalangan nung gagraduate pa lang kung saan ako magtatrabaho. Pero lakasan nyo lang ang loob ninyo, lalo sa interview. At syempre, huwag nyo kakalimutan mag-pray palagi. Araw-araw, bawat may lakad, magtiwala lang kayo sa Diyos at sa kakayahan ninyo. And kapag nasa dealership na rin kayo, tandaan ninyo, yung skills natin, yung experience natin sa school, yung knowledge natin, yan yung magiging passport natin para makapasok tayo sa dealership. Pero yung magpapanatili sa atin sa dealership is yung attitude natin. Tandaan natin yung laging tinuturo sa atin ng mga dyan sa TMP Tech. Diba? Yung attitude pa rin. Kaya tayo hinubog dyan, hindi lang yung skills natin, hindi yung attitude din natin. Yun lang, maraming salamat. At muli, congratulations sa inyo. And God bless you. God bless you all. Salamat po.
Okay, so you heard a few words of wisdom from our graduates. And yes, please do not forget, attitude is the one important thing that will define your altitude. So sabi nga nila, di ba, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You cannot go far without changing it. Okay? So with that said, again, I wish you the best, graduates. Good luck and congratulations. Okay, so good afternoon. The floor is now open for your questions. Now, you may feel free to type in your questions and send it to our FB page, the MP Tech Student Services. Okay? So I'll be waiting for your questions, and please feel free to share if you want to share your experience in relation to this topic. Thank you, and I hope that you will have a very fruitful um, journey ahead of you.